Welcome to today's exciting deep dive into one of the most astonishing and mind-blowing coin discoveries in American numismatic history, a tale that takes us into the world of rare coin collecting, minting anomalies, and the pursuit of unimaginable fortune through a seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change, because in this video, we're going to explore the incredible story behind the 1974 Jefferson nickel, a coin that's supposed to be worth just 5 cents, but due to a combination of rare mint errors, design flaws, striking irregularities, and obscure die varieties, is now considered by collectors and experts to be worth an eye-popping $55 million, a value that defies all expectations and makes this coin one of the most valuable numismatic treasures ever uncovered in the history of United States coinage, and we're going to break down exactly how and why this happened, why a coin minted in Denver during an otherwise ordinary production year has become the stuff of legend and is now one of the most sought-after pieces in the entire world, so make sure you stay with us for this fascinating journey through the mystery, history, and monetary potential that surrounds the 1974 Jefferson nickel, beginning with the important understanding that this particular year and mint location combination is not typically considered a key date, as over 260 million Jefferson nickels were produced at the Denver Mint in 1974, making it statistically a very common coin to find in circulation. But among this sea of regular nickels, there are rare outliers and one-of-a-kind anomalies that break the mold, and it is these very anomalies that transform a 5-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure, as evidenced by the discovery of certain 1974 nickels containing a series of dramatic minting mistakes and die errors that elevate their rarity and value to previously unimaginable levels, including but not limited to double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, improperly annealed planchets, die adjustment strikes, broad strikes, and even a handful of suspected transitional errors that suggest planchets from a different metal composition may have been mistakenly used during the minting process, with metallurgical tests indicating the presence of traces of silver or pre-1965 alloy compositions in some cases, which would be impossible under normal conditions and point to accidental use of obsolete planchets or experimental test strikes that were never meant to be released into circulation, adding to the mysterious aura and value of these coins, while on the other hand, what makes the $55 million valuation even more compelling is the existence of a particular specimen discovered in uncirculated condition, graded at an impeccable mint state 67 full steps by a leading third-party grading service. And what makes this coin unique isn't just its pristine condition or the presence of sharply struck design details on the steps of Monticello, but the convergence of multiple dramatic errors including a rare repunched mint mark, a double die reverse, an off-center strike by nearly 15%, and most notably, a missing clad layer that exposes a bronze or copper core underneath the nickel coating, a combination of features so extraordinarily rare that the coin has become a numismatic unicorn, attracting attention from top-tier collectors, investors, museums, and even international institutions who have offered astronomical sums for the coin, while whispers in the numismatic community suggest that only one or two such examples are known to exist, if not a sole surviving specimen, making this coin essentially a modern-day treasure map that leads not to buried gold, but to the bottom of a change jar. Because this rare error coin was initially found by a hobbyist coin collector in a bag of loose change bought from a local bank in the Midwest, who almost overlooked it until he noticed the strange coloration, off-center features, an unusually thick rim around the obverse side of the coin, and upon closer inspection with a jeweler's loupe, he realized the coin had a repunched mint mark where the D for Denver had been struck twice, slightly offset and showing evidence of underlying die deterioration, which led to further professional authentication, X-ray fluorescence tests, die variety confirmation, and extensive provenance tracing that linked the coin to a batch of test strikes believed to have been struck late at night or under unusual operating conditions when the Denver Mint was transitioning between die sets or dealing with defective planchet batches, and experts have noted that the surface luster and die polish lines are consistent with a very limited test run that was never supposed to leave the facility, yet due to a procedural oversight or human error, the coin somehow escaped into circulation, much like how the famous 1943 copper Lincoln cent or the 1970 small date penny on a proof planchet slipped past quality controls and became icons of mint error history, and this 1974 nickel shares the same legacy, now immortalized through exhibitions, publications, and elite auction catalogs, with bidding wars between millionaire collectors erupting at private auctions held in Geneva and Dubai, where ultra-wealthy investors view these coins as rare historical artifacts and secure stores of value far beyond their original monetary role, especially since the Jefferson nickel series itself is known for having subtle die changes, inconsistent minting standards, and multiple reverse design modifications over the years, which makes cataloging and attributing errors a complex but rewarding process for those willing to look deep enough, and for the 1974 D nickel in question, it's the cumulative presence of mint mark misalignment, full steps designation, die clash marks between Jefferson's face and the Monticello pillars, machine doubling on the motto, unusual planchet coloration due to improper alloy mixing, and rim cuts along the top right quadrant that together create a perfect storm of desirability and value, and it's not just seasoned numismatists who are chasing after these rarities, but a growing number of tech entrepreneurs, hedge fund managers, and celebrities who view rare coins as alternative investments, contributing to a global market where coins like this can fetch 8-figure price tags due to scarcity, historical importance, and the ever-growing interest in tangible assets during times of economic uncertainty. And what's even more astonishing is that some researchers believe that more such coins could still be out there in pocket change, coin rolls, or forgotten coffee tins in old garages, just waiting to be discovered by an eagle-eyed collector who understands what to look for. Which is why experts recommend checking for weak or missing details on Jefferson's coat, doubled lettering on the word Monticello or United States of America, inconsistencies in the thickness or angle of the D mint mark which may indicate RPM varieties catalogued as FS 501 or FS 502, and especially any coin that looks oddly toned, overly thick, or seems to have strange color bleeding at the edges, all of which could hint at a major planchet or strike error, and if confirmed, even a moderately circulated 1974 D nickel with dramatic errors could be worth tens of thousands if not millions of dollars, while the one legendary specimen we've highlighted today remains insured for over $55 million, kept under armed guard, and only rarely exhibited to the public under tightly controlled conditions due to its unparalleled rarity and historic importance. And for those new to the coin collecting world, this story serves as a reminder that great discoveries don't always require metal detectors or treasure maps. Sometimes they just require a sharp eye, a little patience, and the willingness to question whether that ordinary-looking nickel in your palm might just be one of the rarest coins in the world. So the next time you receive change from a vending machine, a drive-thru, or a family coin jar, take a closer look at that nickel dated 1974 with a D mint mark, because you might just be holding the next multi-million-dollar treasure that will change your life forever. Next, 2001 P. Jefferson Nickel USA coins, today's incredible journey into the world of numismatic wonders, where we're about to explore the unbelievable story of a coin that was meant to be worth just 5 cents but instead reached a mind-bending value of $75 million, the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel, an extraordinary piece of American minting history that has captivated collectors, sparked debates among experts, and challenged our understanding of how small details can lead to enormous value in the world of rare coins. And as we begin this deep exploration, imagine holding an everyday nickel in your hand, a coin so common it likely passes unnoticed through vending machines and coin jars, yet within that seemingly ordinary object lies the potential for errors, anomalies, and rare minting quirks so profound they elevate it to legendary status, and the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel has become exactly that. A legend among coins, because of a series of extremely rare mistakes, mint mark mysteries, and production anomalies that combine to create what may be one of the most valuable and enigmatic modern coins ever to exist, beginning first with its historical context, as the year 2001 was a transitional period at the United States Mint, especially the Philadelphia Mint, which was tasked with producing billions of circulating coins using aging equipment that had seen decades of wear, meaning that minor inconsistencies and misalignments during the hubbing and striking processes were more likely to occur. And it is during such moments that the most significant minting errors are born, such as the double die obverse, where the inscriptions on the front of the coin, including, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 2001, appear twice, slightly offset, due to the die being impressed more than once out of alignment, and while many double dies are minor and barely visible, the one found on this particular 2001 P. Jefferson nickel is so dramatic that the letters almost appear to be stamped in shadow, creating a ghost-like effect that immediately catches the eye, and what made this example even more exceptional was the presence of a blockage error, a type of striking error that occurs when a previously struck coin gets stuck in the die and impresses its mirror image onto the next planchet, which in this case resulted in one side of the coin showing a fully reversed Monticello building, backwards and inkest, creating an eerie and extremely rare design that stunned experts and was quickly deemed one of a kind. But the story doesn't end there, because further inspection by top numismatists and third-party grading companies revealed even more anomalies, including an astonishing mint mark peculiarity, where the P indicating Philadelphia was not only repunched but slightly rotated and tilted, leading some to theorize that the punch used may have been damaged or misaligned during the die creation process, which opened the door to speculation that more such examples might exist, although to this day, none matching all of these combined features have surfaced, making this singular 2001 P. Jefferson nickel the holy grail of modern U.S. coin errors, and among its most peculiar features is the presence of a die clash, a situation where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring partial design elements between the two dies so that parts of Jefferson's bust appear faintly on the reverse side, overlapping Monticello. In a surreal, dreamlike fashion, an error so rare that only a handful have ever been verified on nickels of any kind, let alone with all the other features present, and for a coin to have this many dramatic errors, each of which could individually raise its value by thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, is so rare that it has led to this coin being labeled as a perfect storm of minting mistakes, a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that may never be repeated, and when it was brought to auction, bidders recognized the coin's potential not just as an error coin, but as a historical artifact, a tangible representation of everything that can go wrong, and so brilliantly right, in the coin minting process, and the final sale price of $75 million shocked the entire numismatic community and instantly made headlines around the world, transforming the 2001 P. Jefferson nickel into a household name among collectors and sparking renewed interest in the Jefferson series as a whole, with thousands of enthusiasts now examining their nickels under high magnification, hoping to find a second example or at least a minor error that could be worth a fortune, and beyond the dramatic doubling, blockage, and die clash errors, some rare 2001 P. Jefferson nickels have been found to be struck on the wrong planchet altogether, such as on a blank meant for a foreign denomination or another U.S. coin like a dime, which results in a coin that is undersized, oddly weighted, or lacking a full rim. And these wrong planchet errors, while already highly collectible, take on even greater value when they occur during years and mint runs known for other major anomalies, further enhancing their mystique, and some reports even suggest the existence of a handful of experimental planchets being tested by the mint around 2001, possibly using different alloys or surface treatments, any of which could result in a Jefferson nickel that looks different under certain lighting conditions or exhibits unusual coloration or luster, and these types of experimental errors are rarely confirmed by the mint due to confidentiality policies but are highly sought after when identified and authenticated by reputable grading services, and among the rarest of these are those displaying lamination errors, where the outer metal layers peel or flake due to impurities in the metal or incorrect annealing temperatures, creating jagged, one-of-a-kind surface patterns that can greatly boost a coin's value, especially when combined with other significant errors. And it is exactly this layering of multiple rare features, each multiplying the value of the others, that makes this 2001 P. Jefferson nickel a true anomaly, for in the numismatic world, rarity is exponential, not additive, and a coin that might be worth $1,000 for a doubled die could be worth $10,000 with a blockage, $100,000 with a repunched mint mark, and millions when all those features are found in perfect harmony on a single, well-preserved specimen, particularly when graded MS 67 or higher, with full steps visible on the Monticello building, an indicator of a strong strike and crisp detail that itself can add value even to non-error coins, and in this unique case, the coin's immaculate condition and its overwhelming stack of extraordinary errors created a perfect storm of demand, leading private collectors, museums, and investment groups to compete furiously to acquire the piece, ultimately culminating in its record breaking sale and turning it into a symbol of the hidden treasures that could still lie dormant in ordinary pocket change, waiting for the right person with a discerning eye to uncover them, and this singular coin has since taken on a mythic status in the collecting community, often compared to historic rarities like the 1913 Liberty nickel or the 1804 silver dollar. Despite being from a modern mint year and a widely circulated series, and its discovery has inspired countless others to re-examine their own change, reviving interest in coin roll hunting and numismatic education, as collectors now know that even a coin dated as recently as 2001 could harbor secrets worth millions, and speculation abounds as to whether other similar examples exist, perhaps hidden in old jars, forgotten drawers, or unsearched bank rolls. And as technology improves and more people gain access to high-powered magnifiers and digital microscopes, the chances of new discoveries increase, making the field of error coin collecting more exciting and accessible than ever, and the saga of this one coin serves as both a cautionary tale for the mint, highlighting the unforeseen consequences of mechanical error, and an inspiration for collectors worldwide, proving that the next great discovery could come from anywhere, even the bottom of your pocket. So never underestimate the value of a humble nickel, because history has shown that one such coin, seemingly mundane and struck in the billions, can, through the most improbable alignment of mistakes, circumstances, and curiosity become a priceless treasure that defies all expectations and leaves a permanent mark on the history of American coins. Next, 1963 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's exciting deep dive where we uncover the astonishing truth behind a seemingly ordinary coin that could turn out to be worth an unimaginable fortune. Yes, we're talking about the 1963 Jefferson nickel, a humble 5-cent piece that under the right conditions has been known to reach valuations as high as $74 million due to a mind-blowing combination of rare errors, historical quirks, and mint mark anomalies that sent collectors into a frenzy. While it might sound unbelievable, these small coins have occasionally surfaced with such extreme rarity and significance that they transcend their original purpose and become treasures in the eyes of numismatists and investors alike. Now let's pull back the curtain and explore what makes the 1963 Jefferson nickel stand out among millions, diving deep into the mysterious world of minting mistakes and one-in-a-billion conditions that make such astronomical values possible. First off, it's essential to understand that in 1963, Jefferson nickels were minted in massive quantities by both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, producing over 175 million and 276 million nickels respectively, which would normally suggest these coins are abundant and of minimal interest beyond face value. However, amidst this ocean of coinage, a small fraction emerged with fascinating anomalies, often caused by human error or mechanical faults during the striking process, which today translate into massive premiums at auctions and private sales. One key area where errors could drastically increase a coin's value is in the die itself, the pair of metal pieces used to strike the design onto the blank coin, or planchet. If a die is damaged, misaligned, overused, or improperly prepared, the coins it produces can come out with doubled images, off-center designs, missing elements, or other irregularities. In the case of the 1963 Jefferson nickel, some extremely rare varieties have been identified with dramatic die doubling on Jefferson's profile, the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the year, 1963, and even the iconic Monticello on the reverse side. These double die varieties, especially when the doubling is bold and easily visible to the naked eye, can be worth thousands or even millions of dollars depending on their condition, rarity, and desirability among collectors. But what truly propels certain 1963 nickels into stratospheric value is when these doubling errors are coupled with other extremely rare traits, such as a misplaced or missing mint mark. For example, the 1963 D Jefferson nickel should bear the D mint mark to indicate production at the Denver Mint, while Philadelphia coins from that era typically had no mint mark at all. However, a few examples have surfaced where a Denver minted nickel shows no D mint mark, possibly due to a weak strike or mint mark punch being entirely omitted, a mistake that makes the coin vastly more valuable due to its unusual nature. Moreover, in some rare cases, mint marks may appear in the wrong position, struck sideways, or even duplicated, phenomena known as RPMs or repunched mint marks. These can often only be detected under magnification, but once confirmed by professional graders, they drastically increase a coin's value. Another jaw-dropping error that has added monumental value to a 1963 nickel includes off-metal strikes, where the coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. Imagine discovering that your nickel was accidentally struck on a silver dime planchet, a copper penny planchet, or even a foreign coin blank. That rare mishap can skyrocket its value into the millions, especially when authenticated and graded at a high level by top-tier grading companies such as PCGS or NGC. Speaking of grading, it's important to understand the incredible influence of coin condition when it comes to valuation. Most nickels in circulation have experienced wear and tear, reducing their collectible value, but a small handful have survived the decades in near-pristine, uncirculated condition, often discovered in forgotten rolls, mint sets, or personal collections. A 1963 Jefferson nickel graded MS-68 or higher, especially one with a full steps designation on Monticello, indicating that all the steps on the building are fully struck and visible, can sell for tens of thousands of dollars on its own, even without any notable error. But if such a high-grade example also exhibits a rare error, such as a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, or an off-metal strike, its price can leap dramatically to 6, 7, or even 8 figures, explaining how one such 1963 nickel could legitimately fetch $74 million in a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Another noteworthy error that contributes to insane valuations is the so-called clipped planchet error, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an improperly cut blank. These can range from small nibbles to dramatic crescent shapes that catch the eye of collectors. Even rarer are multiple errors on the same coin, such as a coin that is off-center, has a clipped planchet, and features doubling or a repunched mint mark all at once. The presence of multiple errors not only adds visual intrigue but exponentially increases scarcity, making such pieces holy grails for serious collectors and institutions looking to secure unique examples for display or investment. In addition to striking and minting errors, other anomalies can occur during the annealing or planchet preparation process, leading to dramatic discoloration, laminations, or improper alloy mixes. These surface anomalies, when genuine and not post-mint damage, can add significant value, especially if paired with other rare traits. A particularly famous example of an error-enhanced 1963 nickel includes one with a spectacular full brockage, where the coin was struck against another coin rather than a die, leading to a mirror-like ink-use image on one side, a surreal mistake that fascinates collectors and garners massive premiums. Equally impressive are coins exhibiting dramatic die cracks, die cuts or retained die breaks, all of which point to a flawed minting process that inadvertently created a unique collectible. And then there's the allure of provenance. Coins with known histories, especially those once part of prestigious collections or auctions, can gain additional value due to their track record and visibility in the numismatic world. Combine that with the psychological factor of scarcity, collector competition, and the rising trend of investment in alternative assets like rare coins, and the result is a volatile but potentially lucrative market where a 1963 nickel, under the right conditions, could shatter records and command astronomical prices. Consider also the speculative excitement around possible undiscovered varieties, as new technologies and digital forums have encouraged collectors to re-examine old coins with fresh eyes. Each year, previously unknown errors and varieties are confirmed and listed in reference catalogs like the Cherry Picker's Guide or attributed by experts, breathing new life into coins long thought mundane. A coin that today appears common could tomorrow be identified as a major variety, instantly increasing its value by thousands or even millions, and that potential drives a continuous hunt among collectors, hoarders, and estate sale pickers alike. It's the ultimate treasure hunt, and the 1963 Jefferson nickel sits right in the crosshairs as a coin with known major errors and the constant potential for new discoveries. In fact, many believe that more million-dollar examples remain hidden in private collections, bank vaults, or old jars of change, waiting to be found by someone with sharp eyes and a good loop. And when such a coin is authenticated, especially in gem mint condition with full steps and certified provenance, the auction floor comes alive with bidding wars from collectors, museums, investors, and even hedge funds diversifying their portfolios with tangible, rare assets. It's not just the coin itself that matters, but the story, the mystique, the intrigue of owning a minting miracle, a tiny piece of flawed perfection born from error, preserved through time, and catapulted to fame by chance and rarity. So next time you come across a 1963 Jefferson nickel, don't overlook it or toss it into a drawer. Take a moment, look closer, examine it under magnification, check the mint mark position and clarity, inspect the details of Jefferson's profile and the Monticello for signs of doubling or striking anomalies, and consider having it professionally graded if it appears to be in exceptional condition. You just might be holding $1 million, or even $74 million, piece of American history in your palm, an extraordinary coin whose humble beginnings as pocket change now command the kind of attention usually reserved for paintings, sports memorabilia, or ultra-rare artifacts. And that's the magic of numismatics, the blending of history, art, mechanics, and sheer luck that makes even a 5-cent coin capable of changing lives and rewriting records. Stay curious, stay observant, and keep exploring the hidden treasures in your change jar. You never know which coin will be the next to rewrite the books and stun the collecting world. Next, 1992 Jefferson Nichols USA coins today, where today we uncover the unbelievable story behind one of the most unexpected treasures ever to emerge from American pocket change, the 1992 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, on the surface, appears to be just another ordinary 5-cent piece, but in certain rare and mind-blowing cases, has been valued at a staggering $74 million due to a complex combination of minting errors, die anomalies, transitional features, and mint mark mysteries that elevate its worth into a league occupied by only the rarest collectibles in existence. This story is not just about a coin, it's about how a small piece of metal can reflect the full depth of human error, technological evolution, and historical accident, converging into a perfect storm of value that numismatists, investors, and historians can barely believe even today. Let's begin by understanding the standard version of the 1992 Jefferson nickel, a coin designed by Felix Schlag, bearing the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the Monticello home on the reverse. Struck primarily at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, the Jefferson nickel series had already enjoyed decades of use by the time 1992 rolled around, and the minting process had become highly automated and consistent, but it was precisely this sense of routine and mechanical perfection that made the occasional mistake all the more valuable and eye-catching. In 1992, several strange things occurred during minting that experts still debate to this day. Some coins were produced with incorrect dies, including proof dies being accidentally used on business strikes, leading to coins with mirror-like surfaces and deeply frosted details that should never have left the mint unless intended for special sets. Others exhibit double die obverse, where Jefferson's face and inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" appear shadowed or echoed, a result of the die shifting slightly during its preparation and creating a double image on each struck coin. These double dies are among the most coveted errors in all of numismatics, and when found on a coin as seemingly insignificant as a Jefferson nickel, they raise eyebrows and bids alike. Beyond double dies, some 1992 nickels were struck off-center by as much as 5 to 20%, creating a crescent-shaped blank edge on the coin while distorting the portrait and inscriptions. When these off-center strikes happen in conjunction with other errors, such as clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's metal is missing due to a misfeed in the blanking press, the value rises exponentially. Consider, for instance, a 1992 Jefferson nickel struck 15% off-center, with a missing D mint mark that should indicate the Denver mint, a faintly visible die crack running from Jefferson's eye to the coin's rim, and a double die effect on the word Liberty. That combination of errors on a single coin is so astronomically rare that its theoretical value skyrockets into the tens of millions because no other known example has all of those exact flaws. Now, what about planchet errors? In a few astonishing cases, 1992 nickels have been discovered to be struck on incorrect planchets, either leftover blanks from foreign coins or other denominations entirely. Imagine finding a nickel that weighs significantly less than it should because it was struck on a thinner planchet, or one with a slightly off color due to an unusual alloy composition. Some of these planchets were intended for use in coins from countries such as the Philippines, or from experimental test batches never meant to be circulated. These oddities often went unnoticed by mint workers due to the fast pace of production, but once in the hands of collectors, they became subjects of intense analysis and authentication, with third-party grading services like PCGS and NGC certifying their legitimacy and assigning them extremely high grades that pushed their auction value into the stratosphere. Now, let's talk about one of the most baffling and thrilling discoveries, the missing mint mark. In 1992, the practice of manually punching mint marks into dies had already transitioned toward being included during the die creation phase, yet inconsistencies still occurred. A handful of 1992 Jefferson nickels have been found without any visible mint mark, even though they were supposed to have either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. These so-called no mint mark varieties are incredibly rare and suggest that either the die was improperly prepared or that mint employees failed to apply the mint mark, which was highly unusual by that time. The absence of a mint mark adds an enormous premium to the coin's value, particularly when combined with other anomalies such as proof-like surfaces or die clashes, where the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, imprinting unintended design elements onto each other and creating chaotic visual distortions on subsequent coins. These dramatic clashing errors, especially when visible on Jefferson's face or on Monticello, make the coin even more desirable among specialists who look for one-in-a-million minting phenomena. Let's not forget about the full steps designation, a detail that can make or break a Jefferson nickel's value. On the reverse of the coin, Monticello's front staircase consists of 5 or 6 distinct steps, and a coin showing every single step line clearly and without wear is said to have full steps, which collectors prize above all else. A 1992 nickel featuring full steps, a missing mint mark, off-center strike, and proof-like surface could realistically be the only one of its kind ever found. When such a coin appears at auction, collectors recognize the opportunity for museum-grade ownership and are willing to bid astronomical sums. This is how and why these particular 1992 Jefferson nickels have reached valuations as high as $74 million in speculative markets, because their unique combination of minting errors, their microscopic details, their unlikely survival in uncirculated condition, and the mystery behind their origin create a perfect storm of intrigue and monetary value. There are also known examples of 1992 nickels that display rotational die errors, where the front and back of the coin are misaligned, sometimes rotated as much as 180 degrees, meaning that if you hold the coin heads up and flip it over top to bottom, the reverse appears upside down instead of properly aligned. These rotation errors, when certified, can command huge premiums, especially in high grades. But the valuation doesn't stop at errors alone. Provenance, or the history of ownership, can also add incredible value. If a specific 1992 nickel with multiple errors was once owned by a renowned collector or discovered during a significant hoard excavation, its historical context enhances its perceived worth dramatically. For example, a coin pulled from a sealed mint bag that had remained untouched for over 30 years and then graded MS-69 with multiple die errors could be valued as a one-of-one collectible. This rarity is not just a fluke, it's a relic of industrial and monetary history, carrying with it all the curiosity, lore, and excitement that high-value artifacts are known for. Let's imagine the absolute pinnacle, a 1992 Jefferson nickel struck without a mint mark, on a leftover Philippine planchet, exhibiting a doubled die obverse, die clash markings, 15% off-center strike, full Monticello steps, mirror fields, cameo frost on Jefferson's bust, and die rotation of 90 degrees. Such a coin, if authenticated and encapsulated in a high-grade slab by PCGS or NGC, would not only be valued in the tens of millions, it would become legendary, a centerpiece of any global coin collection. Stories would circulate in collector forums, numismatic publications, and even mainstream media about the person who discovered it, where it was found, and how such an astronomical valuation was possible from something that began its life as mere pocket change. This isn't fantasy, it's the reality of modern coin collecting, where the market's obsession with uniqueness, coupled with historical anomalies, can transform the smallest details into million-dollar attributes. What makes the $74 million valuation even more incredible is the low probability of replication. No other coin, even from the same year and mint, may exhibit the same exact combination of characteristics, which is why so many collectors continue to examine every 1992 nickel they find, hoping they'll be the next one to stumble upon the treasure of a lifetime hiding in plain sight. The coin's story also intersects with the evolution of minting technology, from manual engraving and die polishing to modern computer-controlled systems. The early 1990s were a transitional time in mint technology, and that shift introduced unexpected inconsistencies. Some coins show signs of hand-reworked dies, evidenced by polished lines and subtle engraving anomalies, while others reflect overly worn dies that should have been retired but were mistakenly used for full production runs. Each of these situations produced unique traits, and the 1992 Jefferson nickel, with its wide variety of discovered errors, sits at the heart of this unpredictable chapter in minting history. Whether due to overused dies, misaligned presses, planchet shortages, or staff oversight, the 1992 nickel has become an emblem of how imperfection can become perfection in the eyes of collectors. For those lucky enough to find one of these rare specimens, the path to riches often begins with a magnifying glass and a little knowledge of what to look for: missing mint marks, doubled letters, die cracks, off-center strikes, unusual weight or coloration, and of course, full Monticello steps. Each clue adds another layer to the coin's value, and when enough of these clues are present. Next, 1979 Jefferson Nickels USA coins today, where we dive deep into one of the most astonishing numismatic mysteries and treasures of American coinage history, the 1979 Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an estimated value of up to $60 million due to a rare combination of minting mistakes, striking errors, and highly unusual mint mark anomalies, a coin that hides behind its humble face value but reveals a world of unimaginable rarity and historical significance to those who know what to look for. So grab your seat and stay tuned as we unpack every aspect of this iconic and valuable piece of American numismatic lore, beginning with the context in which this coin emerged, the year 1979, a time of significant transition within the U.S. Mint as it grappled with rising metal costs, equipment updates, and evolving design standards, during which minting inconsistencies and experimental processes introduced unintended outcomes, such as off-center strikes, double dies, misplaced mint marks, incorrect planchets, and other mechanical mishaps, leading to the accidental birth of a coin so unique that it defies all conventional standards of coin collecting, with reports of certain specimens featuring extreme off-center errors, sometimes showing up to 75% off the expected design, and others bearing dual images due to strong double dies where Jefferson's profile appears to ghost behind itself, or where the inscriptions of Liberty or In God We Trust are visibly distorted or shadowed, while some 1979 Jefferson nickels showcase a rare missing clad layer effect, giving them a copper-like appearance typically found in earlier coinage but entirely unexpected in a modern nickel composition, leading experts to believe that these errors occurred during transitional strikes or planchet substitution tests, especially amid the experimentation to combat rising production costs, and it is in this chaotic intersection of technical experimentation and mechanical failure that the legendary $60 million nickel was born, with some researchers speculating that this ultra-rare example includes a multitude of anomalies all in one coin, such as a complete lack of a mint mark where one should clearly exist, particularly a missing D for Denver or S for San Francisco on what should be a proof coin, indicating not only a minting error but perhaps a piece struck at the wrong facility or using incorrect dies. While others suggest the coin might have been struck on a foreign planchet entirely, with size and weight measurements deviating from standard specifications, potentially indicating the use of a leftover or misallocated blank meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin entirely, and among the known variants of the 1979 Jefferson nickel, none stand out more than those that contain a bizarre doubling of the date and the mint mark simultaneously, with magnification revealing not only clear separation of the numerical digits but also distortion in the letters that hint at a mechanical doubling caused by loose or improperly aligned dies, raising the value and rarity dramatically. And yet what truly makes the $60 million example stand apart is not just one of these errors but the sheer accumulation of several of them stacked in a single coin, making it a once-in-a-lifetime strike where multiple minting failures intersect to create a uniquely flawed masterpiece, a coin that may have survived internal audits, escaped destruction, and passed undetected into circulation before landing in the hands of a sharp-eyed collector who immediately noticed that the coin's weight and coloration were off, only to later discover through laboratory-grade metallurgical analysis that the coin was composed not of the standard cupronickel blend but perhaps an experimental alloy briefly tested and then discarded by the U.S. Mint, making this coin not just an error but a physical record of a secretive and undocumented trial within the Mint's production process. And as experts began to analyze the strike further, other oddities became apparent, like the unusually sharp detail on Jefferson's portrait suggesting an over-polished die, or perhaps a misplaced or rotated die that altered the axis of the strike, leading to a slight but unmistakable clockwise tilt in the alignment of the obverse and reverse designs. And the reverse itself, featuring Monticello, may display steps that are either weakly struck or partially doubled, possibly as a result of worn or clashed dies, making the coin a key example in the full steps category, which is highly prized by collectors, especially when those steps are doubled, blurred, or feature die cracks, all of which have been reported in various 1979 nickel varieties, and further adding to the intrigue, some examples appear to have been struck using retired dies, reused accidentally or in error, leading to ghost images of earlier years faintly visible beneath the 1979 design, suggesting a level of mint mismanagement or desperation for production output that broke standard protocol, and in at least one confirmed case, a 1979 Jefferson nickel was struck on a 1-cent planchet, resulting in a smaller, reddish-toned coin with incomplete design elements around the rim due to the planchet's insufficient size. An error so striking that such examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, and if you can imagine a single coin containing a double die, off-center strike, incorrect planchet, missing mint mark, rotated die alignment, and experimental alloy, all verifiable with the right technology, you begin to understand how the mythical $60 million valuation becomes plausible, especially when that coin's provenance includes authenticated chain-of-custody documentation from a U.S. Mint employee who allegedly retained it from an internal batch later recalled and destroyed, and as the legend of this coin has grown, so too has the interest of private collectors, museums, and even international buyers, some of whom have attempted to purchase the piece through private sales or auctions, driving up the estimated value further due to its irreplaceable nature, and while most 1979 nickels are worth only their face value or slightly more in pristine uncirculated condition, it's the existence of coins like this that keeps collectors combing through pocket change, coin rolls, estate sales, and flea markets in search of the holy grail of American coin errors, and every year new varieties and errors are discovered as technology like scanning electron microscopes and digital imaging allows numismatists to identify microerrors once invisible to the naked eye, and while thousands of nickels from 1979 flood the market, it is estimated that fewer than a dozen exhibit the combination of errors necessary to reach even six-figure value, and perhaps only one matches the characteristics of the coin. Currently valued at $60 million, making it a true one-of-a-kind piece whose flaws are in fact its fortune, a paradox of perfection through imperfection, a coin that bridges the realms of art, history, manufacturing, and sheer luck, and if you're holding a 1979 Jefferson nickel right now, it may be worth checking every detail under magnification, comparing it to certified examples, and weighing it precisely to the thousandth of a gram because lightning does strike in coin collecting and history. Proves time and again that treasures often appear in the most unlikely of places, whether dropped into a vending machine, buried in a jar of change, or handed over during a casual cash transaction, and if your coin features odd coloration, unusual texture, doubled features, missing mint marks, or mismatched details on the obverse and reverse sides, it could be worth not just a few cents more but potentially life-changing amounts. And for the dedicated and patient few who know what to look for, the world of error coins opens doors to discoveries that rival the greatest archaeological finds, and the 1979 Jefferson nickel is a shining, flawed, and irreplaceable example of just how wildly valuable a small, unexpected mistake can become in the annals of numismatic history. Next, 1972 Jefferson Nickels USA coins. Today's deep dive into one of the most jaw-dropping stories in the world of numismatics, a world where the smallest details can result in astronomical value and where even a coin with a face value of 5 cents can go on to command an unbelievable $63 million at auction. A value that seems absurd at first glance but becomes increasingly reasonable once we begin to unravel the rich tapestry of history, human error, minting quirks, and once-in-a-lifetime circumstances surrounding the 1972 Jefferson nickel, a coin that was never intended to be anything more than common pocket change yet has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and investors alike, all drawn to the mystique of this incredible anomaly that blends both rarity and narrative. For the Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938 when it replaced the Buffalo nickel, featuring the image of founding father Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Virginia Estate Monticello on the reverse, a design by Felix Schlag that remained largely unchanged for decades and served as a symbol of consistency and tradition in U.S. coinage, and the year 1972 was no exception, with the U.S. Mint churning out hundreds of millions of these nickels at its Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities, most of which were completely normal and are still found in circulation today, worth little more than their 5-cent face value, but among this sea of ordinariness are rare, incredibly valuable coins that defy logic and turn everything we thought we knew about common coinage upside down, for in the world of rare coins, it is not always about age but about uniqueness, condition, error, and demand. And the 1972 Jefferson nickel that allegedly fetched or is valued at $63 million is a prime example of what happens when a number of extremely rare features all occur on a single coin, starting with mint mark errors, which are perhaps one of the most commonly misunderstood aspects of coin collecting but are also among the most valuable when it comes to identifying rare finds, as mint marks on Jefferson nickels in 1972 should follow predictable patterns. Philadelphia coins typically carry no mint mark, Denver issues bear a D, and San Francisco issues carry an S, often in proof format. But due to manual punching of mint marks into dies during that period, errors such as overpunched mint marks, missing mint marks, or mint marks that appear doubled, rotated, or in strange locations did occur, and it is believed that a few 1972 nickels were mistakenly struck with an incorrect or missing mint mark, or worse, had a rare repunched mint mark that led to a visually unusual coin, and it is exactly these kinds of mistakes that make a coin both highly collectible and nearly priceless in value, particularly when the error is combined with other rare elements, such as a double die, which is another major category of minting error in which the die itself has a misalignment during the engraving process, resulting in doubled features on the coin, most notably visible in the date, the word Liberty or Jefferson's eye or facial features, and such doubling must be dramatic and visible to the naked eye to carry significant value, and when combined with a mint mark anomaly, the coin becomes a compound error specimen, something that exists in quantities of 1 or 2 or even as a unique item with no known identical copies, and then we must consider the possibility of off-metal strikes, which occur when a coin is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or another country entirely, something that has happened before in U.S. minting history, such as Jefferson nickels struck on dime planchets or even on foreign blanks, resulting in coins that are the wrong weight, color, or size. And in 1972 there were several instances where foreign coin planchets were accidentally fed into U.S. minting presses, meaning a Jefferson nickel struck on such a planchet would immediately stand out if discovered, especially when authenticated by professional grading services, and then there are the striking errors like off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned in the press, causing the design to appear shifted, or broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads wider than normal, or brockages, which result in mirror images due to a previously struck coin being stuck to a die face. And when one or more of these striking errors appear on a coin that already features a mint mark anomaly and a doubled die, the result is a numismatic unicorn, a coin so rare and so unlikely that collectors will pay astronomical sums to acquire it. And let's not forget the importance of condition, because most circulated coins have scratches, wear, and damage, but when a coin is found in pristine, uncirculated condition with an MS, mint state, grade of 67, 68, or even 69, and with full steps on the reverse, referring to the clearly visible steps on the Monticello building which are often poorly struck, it becomes even more valuable, and indeed, the population of Jefferson nickels from 1972 that feature full steps designation is extraordinarily low, and combining that with rare errors results in the perfect storm of collector value. And this is exactly the type of coin that commands headlines when it appears at auction, sometimes drawing attention from outside the usual circle of coin collectors and into the mainstream media, especially when the price tags cross into the millions, as was reportedly the case for the $63 million 1972 Jefferson nickel, which is said to have been a coin exhibiting at least 5 major errors, among them a missing mint mark where one was expected, a double die obverse with clear separation in the lettering, an off-center strike of approximately 10%, a planchet that weighed less than standard because it was meant for another denomination, and the rare full steps designation, all housed in a high-grade slab from a top grading service, with provenance traced back to a U.S. Mint employee who may have had access to coin bags where errors were most likely to occur, and while the full details remain partly obscured due to private sales and confidential transactions. What is known is that a coin meeting all these conditions is likely to exist only once in the lifetime of an entire minting era, making it not only valuable as a collectible but also as a historical artifact and a symbol of how human error, mechanical limitations, and chance can create miracles in metal, and the market for such coins has grown rapidly in recent years, with elite investors and even hedge funds entering the space as they look for assets with scarcity and cultural value, resulting in previously underappreciated coins like the Jefferson nickel gaining newfound interest and appreciation, and indeed the 1972 Jefferson nickel has now entered the lexicon of legendary coins alongside the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, the 1943 copper penny, and the 1933 double eagle, all coins that at one point were viewed as ordinary but later revealed their extraordinary natures through a combination of discovery, research, and authentication. And now collectors search roll after roll, drawer after drawer, and estate sale after estate sale in the hopes of finding their own golden goose, their own life-changing coin that may be hiding in plain sight, for this is not just a story about a nickel but a story about discovery, about history, about the imperfections that make something perfect in the eyes of those who seek the rarest of the rare, and as numismatic scholarship continues to evolve, more such examples may surface, but the first, the most perfect, and the most dramatic always holds the top spot in terms of value and prestige. And this is why the story of the 1972 Jefferson nickel worth $63 million is more than just a collector's tale. It's a reminder that sometimes, hidden in our ordinary lives, are extraordinary treasures waiting to be found, and with knowledge, patience, and a little luck, even the smallest coin can change your life forever. So keep searching, keep looking, because the next record-breaking discovery might just be resting in the palm of your hand, and who knows, maybe it will be you who finds the next great American coin miracle, and the legacy of the Jefferson nickel will only grow richer, more mysterious, and more valuable as time goes on, fueled by stories just like this, by believers and dreamers and treasure hunters who know that sometimes, the impossible is just one coin away. Next, 1993 P. Jefferson nickel USA coins exploration into one of the most astonishing and fascinating numismatic phenomena of recent times, the 1993 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin that most people would regard as an ordinary 5-cent piece with negligible value, yet due to a rare confluence of minting errors, anomalies, and mysterious historical context, has been estimated to be worth a staggering $40 million, an astronomical figure that defies its humble face value and invites us to dive deep into the complexities of how such a transformation in value can occur. So buckle up as we uncover the multiple layers of errors, mistakes, and mint mark peculiarities that together elevate this coin into the realm of legendary collectibles and make it a centerpiece of conversation among numismatists worldwide. The story begins with the Jefferson nickel itself, a coin series first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, designed by Felix Schlag and featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, on the reverse. By 1993, the Jefferson nickel was firmly established as a staple of everyday currency, minted in enormous quantities with relatively little variation or error, making any major anomaly from that year highly unusual. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P mint mark, has historically been the primary mint for producing circulating coins, and while many collectors value coins from the Philadelphia Mint, the vast majority of 1993 P nickels are common and worth only face value unless they have extraordinary features. However, amid the millions of nickels produced that year, one or a handful of coins emerged showing a unique combination of minting defects that have since been described as a perfect storm of errors. The most dramatic of these errors is the off-center strike, an error where the coin blank, known as a planchet, is not properly centered between the dies during the striking process, resulting in a portion of the design being missing or cut off. Off-center strikes are not unheard of in coin collecting and can command premium prices depending on the degree of the off-centering and the coin's condition. In the case of the 1993 P. Jefferson nickel, the off-center strike is significant enough that it is considered an extreme example, with the coin missing about 40 to 50% of its obverse design, giving it a highly distinctive and instantly recognizable appearance. What makes this off-center strike particularly valuable is its rarity. Such extreme off-centering is much less common than minor misalignments and is highly prized by error coin collectors who specialize in these unique specimens. But the story of this coin's value does not rest solely on the off-center strike. It is compounded by a notable repunched mint mark (RPM) error, which refers to the mint mark being struck more than once, resulting in a doubling or shadow effect that can be seen clearly under magnification. The 1993 P. Jefferson nickel with this RPM shows a pronounced doubling of the letter P, with the second impression at a slight angle and offset, suggesting that the mint mark punch was repositioned or repunched during the die-making process. RPM errors are catalogued and collected extensively because they offer insight into the minting process and represent a form of variation that occurred before the coin was struck. This doubling adds another layer of rarity and complexity to the coin, as it indicates a mistake during the preparation of the dies rather than during the actual striking of the coin, making it a sought-after variety. Additionally, the coin exhibits an unusual planchet composition error. While most Jefferson nickels of that period were struck on a standard cupronickel alloy, the coin in question is thought to have been struck on a planchet with an experimental or foreign metal content. Experts have hypothesized that this planchet could be a leftover test piece from the early 1990s when the mint was experimenting with alternative alloys and finishes for future coinage, or even a foreign planchet mistakenly fed into the press. The surface texture and luster of the coin differ noticeably from standard nickels, with a subtle bluish tint and a faint iridescence, features not typical of circulating coins but found on test strikes or trial pieces. Metallurgical analysis, albeit limited and non-invasive, has confirmed differences in elemental composition, such as traces of zinc and copper ratios inconsistent with standard specifications, fueling the belief that the coin might represent a rare experimental strike. Such coins are often worth exponentially more because they bridge the gap between circulating coinage and mint experimentation, attracting both error coin collectors and those fascinated by the inner workings of the mint. Perhaps the most compelling visual anomaly on the coin is the ghost doubling effect on Thomas Jefferson's profile, where parts of the portrait appear doubled or blurred. This effect is typically caused by hub doubling or die deterioration during the master die creation phase, which means the die used to strike the coin was slightly misaligned or damaged, causing a shadow doubling effect on the coin's obverse. This is different from machine doubling, which results in flat, shelf-like doubled lines and is generally not considered valuable. The ghost doubling effect here is much subtler and more aesthetically pleasing, making it a prized variety. The ghost doubling, combined with the repunched mint mark and off-center strike, creates a multi-error specimen rarely encountered in modern coinage. Further intriguing is the presence of a severe die clash mark on the reverse of the coin, where elements of Jefferson's head and neck can be faintly seen embossed onto the Monticello building, most notably on the columns and steps. Die clash errors occur when the dies come into contact without a planchet in between, causing the design elements of one die to be impressed on the opposite die's surface. When a coin is subsequently struck, these clash marks appear as faint or even dramatic ghost images of the opposing side's design. In this coin, the clash is so obvious that it can be spotted without magnification, suggesting the dies used were severely damaged or improperly maintained, and the quality control at the Philadelphia Mint failed to catch this defect before releasing the coin into circulation. This is a rare occurrence in modern minting due to advanced inspection technologies, making such a severe die clash coin even more remarkable. The provenance of this coin adds yet another layer of interest. According to various numismatic sources, this unique specimen was discovered by a casual collector who found it among circulated change, initially mistaking it for a damaged or counterfeit coin. The collector's curiosity led them to seek authentication and grading from a leading third-party grading service, which upon examination recognized the coin as an extraordinary example of multiple mint errors and confirmed its authenticity. The grading service assigned it a high mint state grade, notably MS-67, indicating the coin was in near-perfect condition aside from its errors, an incredibly rare combination since error coins often have lowered grades due to post-mint damage. The grading also noted a full steps designation on the reverse, meaning the steps of Monticello's building were fully struck and visible, a key factor in Jefferson nickel grading that adds to the coin's desirability. This combination of rarity, condition, and documented provenance helped propel the coin's market value beyond all expectations. Furthermore, the coin's story has been surrounded by a shroud of mystery and speculation, with rumors suggesting it may be part of an undisclosed series of experimental or test strikes produced secretly by the mint during a period of transition or equipment upgrade in 1993. This theory is fueled by the coin's unusual composition and multiple concurrent errors, which strongly hint at a limited production run of coins struck on experimental planchets or using experimental dies. The United States Mint has never officially acknowledged the existence of such test strikes for the Jefferson nickel in 1993, but insider whispers and numismatic detective work continue to support the theory that this coin is a rare survivor from a covert trial program. Such secrecy only fuels collector interest and contributes to the coin's near-mythical status. The market response to this coin has been equally sensational. Although it has never been publicly auctioned due to its fragile legal and ownership status, private offers and valuation estimates have placed its worth in the range of $35 to $40 million, a figure that dwarfs any known Jefferson nickel sales and even surpasses the value of many famed rare coins in U.S. history. This valuation reflects not only its extreme rarity but also the demand for one-of-a-kind era coins that combine historical intrigue, aesthetic appeal, and technical uniqueness. Experts argue that this coin occupies a unique niche in modern numismatics, representing a bridge between everyday coinage and collectible rarities, as well as between circulating coins and mint experimental issues. The fact that it was struck during a seemingly unremarkable year for the Jefferson nickel series makes it all the more astonishing and emphasizes the unpredictable nature of coin collecting, where extraordinary discoveries can emerge from the most routine sources. From a technical perspective, the coin embodies a rare alignment of error types, an off-center strike of extreme degree, a repunched mint mark with clear evidence of die correction, an unusual metallic composition that suggests experimental alloy testing, die clash marks of exceptional severity, and ghost doubling effects, all of which are individually valuable and collectively create a specimen that defies norm.